Welcome to She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Angela Olfest, otherwise known as VoiceOver Angela. In this podcast, we talk about my adventures in freelancing, my voiceover business, and everything else in between. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I am Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you that are just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover, in the hopes that through my channel, I can share with you some of the techniques and tips and tricks that I use every day in my own voiceover business. So what I wanted to talk about in today's video is the importance of refreshing your profiles and your demos and your thumbnails on all of the different voiceover platforms that you are on. And you might recall, if you've seen some of my other videos, I mentioned in one of them that there are over 100 different voiceover specific or freelance marketplaces where you can find voiceover work. And I know it's a little bit overwhelming when there are that many to keep track of, but in the very beginning, if you start out with, the big three that I always recommend, which are ACX, Fiverr, and Upwork to find voiceover work or audiobook work for that matter. But once you start to get comfortable with those three and start branching out and putting in profiles with, the myriad of others that are available for you, the importance of not just signing up and then forgetting about it, but, stay active. Every once in a while, as you go along, I should say, you get better and better and better with delivering voiceovers, right? The more we do it, the more we learn, and the better we get at recording and editing and formatting voiceovers, right? So as you get better, you definitely want to refresh some of the demos or samples or on the different profiles that you have, because you want to reflect what you can currently deliver to the client, right? And again, in the very beginning, when you sign up with these profiles, another thing that we tend to neglect is the picture, right? In the very beginning, you're probably not going to have a great profile picture. You're probably going to just grab a picture that you have in your computer that is of your face, and it's, it works, right, to get started. But as you get better and you start to get a better headshot or a picture you like better of yourself, maybe in your studio or something with your logo on it, that sort of thing, if you want to use that picture to refresh your profile picture, I do recommend getting a professional headshot. And if you can't, I wouldn't panic if you can't. Most of the cell phone cameras that we have today on most, late model smartphones are pretty darn good. If you could get someone just to take a picture of you in your studio or outside, a nice looking headshot of yourself smiling, use that, right? But more importantly, what you're selling is your voice and the overall sound of your voiceover deliverable, right? So those are a little bit more important to refresh as often as possible, but the profile picture shouldn't be neglected either. So I would say in the very beginning, once you have ACX, Fiverr, and Upwork, once you start to get those rolling and you start to become more comfortable with recording, formatting, and delivering your voiceovers, and then you start signing up with some of these other sites like Bodalgo, Voquent, Voices.com, Voice123, there's Voice Giant, there's Voice Jungle. I don't know if I mentioned that one before. But, and then personally, I've done this. There's so many to sign up for. And then you start to really just hyper-focus on a few of them, and then you completely forget about the other ones that you signed up for a few months ago. Keep track of these sites that you're on and refresh them from time to time, because you want them to reflect what you can currently deliver to your clients. And obviously, as we go along, they get better and better and better. So you definitely want to refresh those with, your more practiced, your more polished content, if that makes sense. And some of these sites you definitely want to add more samples and more content to more often than others. There are sites that are like ACX, for example, where, to my knowledge, you can add as many samples as you want, and you should refresh those at least once a week. But, obviously the more the better, because when you add a new sample to ACX, then you are up at the top of that search list, and you want to stay at the top so you can be one of the first seen. And there are sites like Voquent, I believe, where you can add a ton of different types or styles of samples. So definitely in the very beginning, add a demo that you have, but as you go along, start to pick and choose different samples of what you have done that serve a specific purpose or style. For example, authoritative or sincere or luxurious or conversational or calm. You know what I mean? Different types or styles of voiceover. And then you can add those specific styles to your samples on places like Voquent that ask for specific types or recommend specific types of voiceover. And even if you've just started out and you don't have a bunch of work that you can use that you've already done to use for these purposes, record your own. In the beginning, I remember I was practicing just about everything that I could get my hands on. Listen to commercials today. Go onto YouTube and find, maybe a channel that replays a bunch of commercials. Watch those commercials, pay close attention to what is being said, how it is being said, and maybe write your own script that uses maybe a little bit of the verbiage of the commercial. Not exactly word for word, change it up, make it your own. And record a few different samples of different styles. Like, for example, car commercials. If you think Mercedes and BMW, their commercials are not super exciting sounding, right? They're more of like a luxurious, intimate, come drive me kind of a thing. You know what I mean? So that would be like a luxurious type of a style. And then, of course, there's calm, there's authoritative, which would be more for maybe an e-learning or an informational video. It could be a video game. Authoritative could be a few different types of genres or types of voiceover. And then you have upbeat, you have all kinds of different styles you could do. But in your practicing, once you get better and better and better, start sectioning out these little snippets of different styles of voiceover that you can do, and then save them in a folder on your computer for, call it demos if you want. And then name the file the style of voiceover that it is. So it's easy to find later when you're filling out the profiles of these different websites and filling in those specific types of voiceover. So they're easy to find later, if that makes sense. And then once you have all of these different styles of voiceover, you can start to compile them, right? You can have one that's called an e-learning demo, and you can have one that's relatable, informational, authoritative, and put those all together and make yourself maybe a 1-minute demo of what would be appropriate e-learning type tones. And then you could use that as a overall demo if someone contacts you, say on Fiverr, and they say, hey, I have a client that has this e-learning piece and they'd like to have a downloadable demo of your voice so they can choose the appropriate voice actor for this project. And then you can go into your demo file and find your e-learning demo and send it over to them, right? So there are a lot of reasons for you to continuously improve and update, refresh your demos. Because personal opinion, for me, it seems like every week I go or every couple of weeks, I feel like I do better than I did even the week or two before, because there are a lot of nuances to voiceover that you need to learn. There are still a lot of hurdles for me to get over. For instance, the whole robot voice thing, you know, there is a difference between sounding like you're reading a script and just saying what is there, or you know what I mean? It's and that is something that I am continuously working on. I realize that I over enunciate and I sound like Alexa and Siri, and I hear that a lot. So sometimes when I'm reading and giving the written word its due respect by enunciating every word, I'm actually shooting myself in the foot because I sound like I'm reading, a script instead of just saying what is there. So that has been a big hurdle for me to get over. So in essence, how I sound today is narrating a long form narration is probably going to sound a whole lot better than it did even just a couple of weeks ago, because that is something I'm continually working on. So therefore, as I get better, I refresh my demos. So that's basically it for this video. I just wanted to remind you to don't forget about those profiles that you filled out months ago. Go back in there and make sure that you update your profile picture, update your samples, update your demos, because they are important. And I hope this video helps. If you did find it helpful, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for listening today. I really appreciate it. If you have an extra moment, please feel free to leave a review. We'll see you next time.